Hey guys, welcome back to another game discussions video. This time around, we'll be discussing that clickbaity title, Activision's big mistake. My apologies, gotta do it for the clicks, but to get more in depth into it, it's basically sort of focusing on Activision's design choices, focusing more on the casual player rather than the competitive player, and how in the long run it actually will hurt those casual players more than actually help them. In previous videos I spoke about really why Activision made the move to begin with, to go from covering the competitive player and promoting as much as possible those big tournaments and really big emphasis on the streamers and getting as much coverage, shifting from that to the more casual approach. The long story basically shortened for you, nice and sweet, is that the casual player is interested in blueprints. They're interested in those battle passes, and they're also interested in the skins. They can be converted, whereas the competitive player, they might not care as much for it, right? They might buy the pass, and basically the utility that they have for it is to sort of get you to view. So it's more for content rather than just spend on it, and maybe to get you to buy it, essentially. But most sweats, they don't, their focus is more about getting to good gunfights, trying to max out the lobby, get as much, get as sweaty as possible, and the highest kill count, and running over and being the best in the lobby, essentially, not necessarily having the nicest skin or the most updated blueprint. So going from that, right, and Activision's approach, some of the decisions that they made, some of the design decisions basically involved two big things. One of the is lowering the TTK, and the big one is reducing movement. And we see a lot of streamers, complaining about it currently, that there is no movement. You can't really express yourself or do what you want in the new Modern Warfare 2, and obviously what's going to be Warzone 2. And some people are in the camp where it says, well, you know what, co-parter, those were exploits, and others are saying there's no skill gap, right? And sort of, that's not really the topic that we're discussing, and the main topic is basically, is it good for the casual player that Activision did this, right? Because they're trying to cater to the casual, so that the way the casual has a better experience. They're not getting ran over with all this crazy tech, right? And they're not jumping into a lobby to maybe get put into a blender, right? So those design choices on paper make sense, right? So if you lower the TTK, you might only need to land 3 bullets rather than 8 to 9 or 10 bullets in order to down a person, right? So a casual player is more likely to land those 2 to 3, especially if they only have an accuracy of about 50% compared to 9 to 10. And then if you also remove movement, right, it's a lot easier to hit a target that is more stationary than it is to hit a target that is slide canceling, B hopping, and 360 no scoping across the map, right? So on paper it makes sense, but the issue is not it's not the casual player. The issue is the sweats, right? And so we're punishing the sweats to sort of cater to the casual, and the reason why it won't help is because the sweats will always find a way. They will always find a way to make a skill gap, and unfortunately I'm afraid the skill gap is going to be a lot more nefarious, if you will. In this current game, with movement being the skill gap, is a lot more obvious, where you can create your advantages. But in Warzone 2, Modern Warfare 2, those advantages are going to be based on the map, right? And we already know the sweats they're going to optimize, and they're going to min-max. They're going to min-max all those angles. The angles that the casuals use to be able to kill that sweat, once the sweat masters it, the casual won't even be able to move an inch before getting melted, right? They're going to min-max player behavior. They're going to know how people move around the map, and they're going to master that within 6 months to a year. And you could say, right, that, oh well, skill-based matchmaking will protect against that, but here's the issue, right? Sure, the top players will rise and they'll get put in higher level lobbies, but here's the problem. 6 months from that point, everybody's going to be playing like that. Everybody's going to be min-maxing those corners, those sight lines, holding those angles, right? And then everybody's going to be afraid to move, and you're going to have the same problem. Back to square one, the casual getting put in blender, dropping in, everybody's holding an angle, they feel like they're getting spawn camped. They feel like they can't move down the hallway without running into someone holding a power position, right? The smallest power position possible. And this basically ties all into that band-aid, that problem, that mistake that I was saying that Activision is doing, and it's basically protecting the casual player when they should actually be encouraging the casual player to get better, right? To get as good as that sweat and make it fun and enjoyable so that they can compete and overthrow the sweat, make it volatile. And this is something that I take from my history in other games. I played platform fighters back in the day semi-professionally when I was much younger. Was able to get top 10 state level, consistently top 5 on the state level, and top 16, top 32 regional. And one of the things that I saw in the Melee and Project M community, these are the platform fighters that I played in tournaments and competitively, was there was always a drive to get better, and there was always a drive to fight people and face against people who were better than you. That was something that was encouraged that you don't see now because of skill-based matchmaking. In skill-based matchmaking, you're constantly in the middle of the pack. You're never a god, you're never a bot, right? And so when you're a bot, you get the experience, you get to feel what it is to face a player who's better than you, and you get to be inspired. And that's what happens in the Melee community. And when you're a god, you get to feel what it is, and you can also mentor and help the person, right? And so you don't get those opportunities anymore because everybody's the same skill in the lobby, right? You're generally less or more skilled than the person beside you, and with give or take one demon in the lobby every now and then. And I feel that'll go a long way to helping essentially fix the issue, not bringing down the skill gap, not getting rid of the skill gap or trying to protect or coddle casuals, but to promote that casual player and creating a path that will make them go from a 0.5 KD to a 1.5 KD, as long as they put in the grind and make it enjoyable, right? And so that's something that's kind of missing, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. The community also has to be in on this. We can't put everything at the feet of the developers. Sure, they have to, they designed certain things, but I believe that a lot of the time this community punishes skill in their own ways, with accusations. People are fans, but there are a lot of players that don't get that are sort of attacked, and it's not productive really. And I feel that that's another part that needs to be addressed in order to sort of fix this protecting of casual players. Maybe Activision steps in because they feel like, oh man, these people are so tired of getting ran over in the lobbies that they have no other alternative but to basically say like, hey, no, you're sus. But I digress in terms of that. I believe that some of the big stuff, some of the design choices, you need to basically encourage that kind of mentality within the community, within the game. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with that, if I may have missed something. I definitely do believe that if we keep going down this path, within a year from now, the casuals will be back at square one, right? And no one's gonna have fun. At least, in this current iteration, the sweats had fun moving around and they were getting in gunfights. But now I think with everybody holding corners and camping, I think it's just lose-lose for everybody. So be sure to let me know what you think, and if you like the video, be sure to drop a like as well, and I look forward to seeing your comments down below. Thank you. Peace out.